Now, one of the most important thing under management control system is the creation of responsibility centers and thereby decentralizing the authority to the various managers who are below the top management level and how they perform for the objectives for which the decentralization has been done. That means either for the cost minimization or the maximization of revenues or the maximization of profits. And also we have investment centers as responsibility centers whereby the organization invests or utilizes its capital resources in long-term assets in anticipation that those long-term assets like land and building, machineries, etc. will give the organization more level of profit in the forthcoming years. Already in this block 2, where we are looking at management control structure, we had seen in Unit 4 regarding the various aspects of responsibility center. What is a responsibility center? Why it is needed? What are the various types of responsibility center, etc. Then, as we moved on to Unit 5, we saw the first kind of responsibility center, that was the cost centers. Now, when we went into cost center, we said that it is that segment of the organization where the manager of that segment or the division is responsible for controlling the costs. That means here we speak only the authority given to the manager as regards to cost only. We can suppose, for example, we can say department like a production department. Now, if the production department is only focusing on producing the items and it is not handling the uh, far end part, that is the marketing aspect, then we say that that particular production department is a cost center where the manager has the responsibility to minimize the costs. This can be done by various decision making activities undertaken by the manager. Now, in today's session, we shall see one of the most important responsibility centers of the organization, which we shall be calling as profit centers. Now, in cost center, the manager is responsible for only the activities which create costs and takes decision so as to minimize those costs. For example, production department, for example, the procurement department, etc. If we look at the revenue centers, there we say that the manager of the responsibility center is responsible only for activities which are related to sales price, the market share, how the sales volume can be increased. So the focus is mainly on how to increase the sales or the revenue. They do not look at the back end. That means the production or the procurement. So here only the focus is on revenue generation. That means the objective is to maximize the revenues. Now there are certain departments or divisions of the organization where the managers are made responsible for both the activities of cost as well as the revenues. In other words, that means the activities which will be leading to the division's profit. Because we know the sales and the cost taken together, sales minus cost will give us profit. So here the important focus as given by the management is towards activities where both cost control, that means minimization, can be done, as well as the improvement or enhancement of revenue, that is the sales amount, can also be done. Thereby more and more profit can be generated. So now let us see what are the different aspects of a profit center. Now, as we introduce ourselves to the profit center, which is a responsibility center, in fact, it is a responsibility center wherein the manager is responsible for both expenses and revenue. Now, what happens when organizations grow or become big? They enter into different product lines, maybe of similar types, maybe of dissimilar types. Now, each product line, the top management or the corporate level management, they try to segregate that as an independent division. Independent in the sense in their decision making. However, they are answerable to the top management because each of the division combine together to form the conglomerate. Here we say profit center are those responsibility centers where both the revenue and the cost or the expenses is the authority of the manager. He or she has the responsibility to take decisions so as to enhance the profit, or in other words, objective is to maximize the profit. The total performance of manager depends on how decisions are taken on sources of supply and choices of market. Just now we said when the organization is big, it moves into decentralization. That means most of the product lines are treated as separate divisions with a particular manager heading the division, and each division is responsible for their creation of profits. So the divisional manager, what he has or she has to do, they have to look on where from they can get the supply of raw materials or which market they shall cater to. Now, this choice in the hands of the manager will help the manager to procure the supply. That means it may be raw material, it may be utilities, etc. at the most favorable price from the suppliers, as well as when a choice of market is given, the manager will look to that market where the sales amount can be maximized, as well as they also look at markets where along with sales maximization, the influence of competition is also low, so that they can operate easily. Now here the performance or the financial performance of each manager or each divisional manager has to be measured, and it is usually done by the amount of profit achieved in a particular period. The amount of profit achieved is nothing but during the period how much revenue has been generated, and for that how much expenses or cost has been incurred. The difference between the two will give us the profits. If it is negative, then it will give us negative profit. In other words, those are losses. Now, many a times one may argue that it is looking same as an investment center. Here we have to say the profit center is different from the investment center in the sense that in investment center the manager has a control over fixed assets, like which machines to purchase, how much to spend on buildings. But in profit centers, that is not there. The manager is given the machineries, the buildings that are already there, and they have to utilize it to the best possible way so as to generate or maximize the profits. The corporate philosophy, style, and profit center autonomy. We always say whenever profit centers are created in a conglomerate or a corporate, they become the subsidiaries usually of the corporate. That means they are the pillars on which the corporate stands. The corporate's profit are the aggregate of the profits of all the subsidiaries. And here, every subsidiary tries hard to maximize their profits. Here, the profit center manager, how can he or she maximize the profits? Now, first of all, they should have the autonomy or the freedom in decision making. Decision making regarding either the choice of supplies or the sources of supplies, and also the choice of markets where they could sell their products. So autonomy has to be given to the managers. Now here two kind of autonomies we find. One is intended, another one is perceived. Many times while going through our studies in earlier days, we know that we have many kind of mathematical formulas, physics formulas, etc. They have been already established, put on pen and paper, and they give you the results according to the various formulas or the process that has been adopted. So basically we say those are the things that are there on the pen and paper in written form. or the theoretical. However, in the actual practice, what happens, even though we know that 2 plus 2 is 4, sometimes managers are there who can make 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. That means adding two things, they not only add it in absolute sense, but they add something apart from that also, called as synergy. Now, when the manager knows that the autonomy that is given to him or her, that can be used in the actual practice or in the field of work, then we call it as perceived autonomy. It is the practical autonomy which can be used in practice. So intended autonomy is the theoretical autonomy, perceived autonomy, which can actually be used in the workplace. Now, when we talk of autonomy, it can be influenced by corporate managers' involvement with profit center manager. What happens? Many managers at the corporate level, before the organization has grown big or has become a conglomerate, a big organization, they try to put their heads into the various aspects of the business under the conglomerate. That means they try to tinker with all the areas of the corporate. But when we are creating profit centers, the major focus is allowing the profit centers the autonomy. But the managers or the management people who are there at the corporate level and already have been born and brought up with the kind of tinkering they earlier had, they will always have a, we can say, intention towards uh, tinkering with the divisional manager's autonomy. They try to force themselves into their autonomy area. They try to direct them. So thereby, the autonomy of the managers is somewhat influenced. They cannot work in a complete freedom sense. Now, the profit center, the managers are influenced by level of trust and confidence the corporate management has in the ability and experience of managers. Now, when the corporate level management is appointing a profit center manager for a particular division, then we may say that the management or the top level management has confidence on the person, as well as they also have their, we can say, trust in the ability and experience of managers. So looking at the manager's past track record, they generate the confidence and the trust so as to allow them to head a division or a profit center. Two things come forward: diversification and decentralization. In the initial stages, most of the organization are operating in a functional style of organization, or they are functional organization. Maybe the production range will be a single product or few similar products of the same line, etc. But as the organization grows big, then the question becomes how? And to answer that, we say that yes, the organization has to move into different sectors, different fields, different areas of business, called as diversification. It may not be same as each other. One line of product may be different from another line of product. So when we diversify, we move into various different kind of production lines. So there, once we have different production lines, the requirements, the expertise, the knowledge level, the skill set of the persons or the managers who will be heading the particular division will be different from each other. For example, let us assume a corporate has two product lines. One is the passenger vehicles, another one is the, we can say, electronic goods. We cannot say that both are of the similar kind. They are different from each other. So the manager or the personnel who will be working in the electronics divisions, definitely their skill set, their knowledge, their experience will be different from the division or the personnel working in the division that is the passenger vehicles. So looking at the product or the product line or the division's product line, the personnels, the managers, they have different kind of skill sets. Now, as we diversify, we have to decentralize. Why? Because the top management, we cannot always say that they will be having the best of the knowledge on each kind of product line. So thereby what happens? When the authority is decentralized and given to the divisional managers who are experts in those fields, they can do a better job. So autonomy is coextensive with diversification. As we diversify, autonomy has to be more and more, and it has to be extended to the division levels. The purpose of this is economic efficiency. Since the managers, the personnels working in a particular division have the skill sets, knowledge, experience, background in a particular field, they have better ideas or better knowledge on how to utilize the resources so as to reap maximum benefits. So we say the purpose is economic efficiency. How well we can convert our resources to outputs or the benefits. Now, percolation of profit responsibility from corporate level to divisions is called as profit decentralization. What happens? The corporate level, they try to ascertain that suppose X is the total amount of profit to be generated. The corporate has 10 divisions. Now the corporate will be setting targets and asking the managers, the different divisional managers, that this is your share of profit that you have to generate at least. So the profit at the corporate level now gets broken down into small pieces, and it trickles down, percolates down to the divisional levels, and this phenomena is called as the profit decentralization. Now, for diversification, what are the factors that influence? Many products are there which are very short product life. That means the products will be changing rapidly. Some product lines will be there which have a product life which is very high. So there the product lines need not be changed every now and then. So looking at this aspect, the companies try to diversify. That means the divisions where products have less lifespan, or divisions where lifespan of the products are very high. Another factor which influence diversification is the consumers or the end users. What is their expectation? So looking at that, we try to diversify. Another factor that influences diversification is geographical location. Now what happens? You may either look at divisions producing same product at different geographical locations so as to bring down various costs like transportation, etc. And also this will allow the divisions to get acquainted with the local culture. Like suppose we can say KFC. It is having its businesses in almost maximum of the countries of the world. So everywhere this will be working, the KFC units will be working as divisions for that particular country. So they will be adapting the local cultures, taste, requirements, etc. That means according to geographical location, the diversification occurs. Similarly, we take mechanization into account. Mechanization allows for diversification. Regulations, competitors are some of the other factors that influence diversification. Now, if we decentralize, that means the authority is decentralized by the corporate level to the divisional level. What are the benefits that they are going to accrue? First is better understanding of firm's objectives. Now suppose I am working as the manager of a particular division working under a corporate. So the corporate's objective percolates down to me as the manager of the division, which is a subsidiary of the corporate, because I have to align my works towards the corporate's objective. Now, corporate's objective, as it percolates down to me, what I will do? I will disseminate the requirements in order to achieve that to all the workers, those who are working in the particular division. So what happens? Most of the people or most of the managers in the division get acquainted with the firm's objective. Second is better profit planning. Sometimes we are given targets by the corporate level so as to achieve in a given period of time. Now, looking at that target, we plan how to achieve that. What kind of sales mix we shall have. That means what are the various product lines and their particular volume of sales. What would be the sales price? How much is the cost to be incurred with the inputs, etc. So it will help us to have a better profit planning. Third is better morale and motivation. Now, since the divisional manager is given the autonomy to work, he or she always looks the other division's manager as his or her competitor. That means the division which is performing well. How can we say it is performing well? Now, by looking at the profits mainly. Now, the manager will feel that yes, I have been assigned with some kind of responsibility that will uplift the manager's morale, and it will motivate the manager to direct all the divisional activities under his authority or her authority to move towards the objective.